Los Angeles, California, home of opportunity and the American dream, where a lowly part-time pizza delivery boy who can't even speak English can transform himself into a global superstar, thanks to fighting.
California, over island,
Tonight we review the life and career of Jean-Claude Van Damme and preview the films being shown as part of the forthcoming Van Damme season on 5.
I believe the belief. You have to believe the belief. Believing something, it's great, but it's only a belief. When you believe what you believe, you become that belief. It's that simple.
Over the past 15 years, Jean-Claude Van Damme has starred in no less than 26 films and grossed over $1 billion in box office and video rentals. He's married 5 women, one of them twice, had 3 children, several dogs, and a handful of headline-grabbing lawsuits. Life for the most famous living Belgian has been far from dull.
I'm 100 miles an hour. I'm moving so fast in my life, you know. When it's going to collapse.
We'll be catching a rare glimpse of real-life Hollywood inside the immaculately kept home of the Muscles from Brussels.
Okay, come, follow me. Be careful the wall, please, huh? Be careful the wall. Be careful the wall, huh? Thank you. Be careful the wall.
And with the help of colleagues, family and friends, we'll also be trying to take a look inside his brains.
Woo! He's very smart. He's smart.
Inside ourselves, we have something who's very compressed. It exists, but it's not there.
He's not like that in every day when you live with him. You spend time with him.
I don't know if it's complicated to you the way I'm saying that, but it's a new type of language.
Now there is a book, Parlez-vous le Jean-Claude, with all his interview, the stupid thing he say.
I'm nothing, but I'm everything. I'm part of you and part of them and part of me.
Jean-Claude, change. Don't do that. You're smart.
In the 90s, Van Damme shot to fame as the hottest new name in the action hero Premier League, fighting for top spot with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, who by now were also his neighbours.
Schwarzenegger! Come on!
I think he does appeal to everybody, I mean, in a way that a lot of action heroes don't. He's not quite the missing link on steroids that the Arnold Schwarzeneggers and the Steven Seagals are.
Schwarzenegger, Stallone, bin. But for the karate move, nobody made choreography like him.
A wonderful, almost acrobatic, choreographic skill. It's artistry with violence. Claude Van Damme, in his early films, was beautiful to look at and had a fantastic extension in his legs.
He is the Baryshnikov of martial artists.
He did have sort of ballet training, which probably explains why he's got a lot of good poise. His 360-degree spinning kick always looks absolutely magnificent.
People definitely underestimate the amount of skill involved in making this kind of film. He's a very talented kickboxer. He can lift his leg up very high and catch people unawares because they don't realise he's going to reach that far.
He just had this heroic quality about him. He was the epitome of an action hero.
But underneath, he's like a boy, slightly lost, very innocent, a sweetness about him.
Jean-Claude was this innocent guy put into these extreme situations, and I think that different people, from kids to adults, could relate with that.
Teenage boys has got to be the main market, definitely. All that testosterone, maybe older guys and women. There's a lot of women who'd fancy him. He's slightly better looking than the rest of that mob.
kind of pretty. I don't know if I want to fight you or fuck you.
He's got a nice body, angular, toned, definition just right. We always get these nice gratuitous shots of his backside, which He's always nice to see.
It has to do with maleness, how you wear a pair of tight jeans. When he walks down the street, he cuts the air like a musty buck in the forest. It walks through there, and the muscles quiver a little bit, and it doesn't bow its head, and it turns and looks at the world with a confidence and a grasp of his own maleness.
No, I bet he gets lots of pussy. Yeah, I bet.
Lordy. This episode of Friends proved JCVD had swept into mainstream popular culture, with even the most famous and glamorous flatmates in the world proclaiming his sex appeal.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. What? It's Jean-Claude Van Damme. I didn't know he was in this movie. He's so hot. You think? The muscles from Brussels? Wham Bam Van Damme?
All of 21 years ago, it was a different story for the callow youth arriving in Hollywood with an all too familiar but seemingly impossible mission.
He was a kid that kind of got in the boat, came to America, knew no one. There were thousands of people like that there. Whereas Jean-Claude, with his bad accent, actually made it.
The key to his stunning success was discovering a magic secret formula.
First of all, they always have to explain his accent.
You sure had it easy with Mom in Europe.
He always has to do the splits. This is really quite important. And as for the plot, there's this massive fight at the beginning where either his brother or some other family member gets killed.
My babies! What'll happen to them?
You'll never know.
Well, I'm going to take vengeance.
The kick, the this, the that, the mother, the revenge, the brother come back to USA, I win the fight, right? No, but well paid.
It's like a carry-on movie, isn't it? I mean, you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get his ass in shot at some point. You can literally sit there and tick them off. Ah, that's gone too. And you go through to the end and think, that was exactly what I wanted from a Jean-Claude Van Damme experience.
Indeed, it's been a career of gripping, non-stop action-adventure featuring courage, drama, jubilation,
Spreading joy to everyone.
and many a salt tear, though only some of that's been on the screen.
He had a weakness for women and a weakness for drugs, really, and that propelled him into tabloid heaven. He's made it in Hollywood, where there is a real suing culture. He said, I can't drive in Los Angeles without some bimbo jumping out in front of the car and then claiming that I was trying to hit her.
No wonder fame's made him seem a bit eccentric. In part 2, there's lots more fighting, and we visit beautiful Belgium to retrace JC's epic transformation from this, the Milky Bars are on me, to all-conquering muscles from Brussels. Jean-Claude Van Damme has been showing us around his fabulous home in Marina del Rey, Los Angeles.
We've got everything here. We've got a cross, we've got a Buddha, a teddy bear. This is my teddy bear since I was 13. My son found it, cleaned it, and gave it back to me. He said, Dad, don't ever forget your dream.
Wise words, son. Still, this is one man who's unlikely ever to forget his childhood ambitions. After all, achieving them hasn't exactly been easy.
I was dreaming and believing to becoming an actor. It was painful. But now I understand the balance of life. If I didn't feel the sadness at the time, what can I feel now? The joy of, I did it.
Where are you from?
I was born in Belgium.
Belgium, Europe, world famous for top lager, chocolates, muscles, Poirot, and daft punks.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think we are two poets. Maybe at different level. We are two poets. He's one of the most important surrealistic artists in Belgium.
You are the king of the divan.
And Belgium, it's a beautiful country. It's a very one molecule type of country. And when you're there, you don't see and understand the outside because you're a kid from Belgium.
In 1960, the one-molecule Flanders suburb of Berkem-Saint-Agathe said bonjour to one Jean-Claude Camille Francois van Varenberg, beloved second child of extraordinarily hard-working parents Eugene and Eliana.
My father did different job. He was in the garment business. Then he was a florist and an accountant. He owned a bookstore. It was nice because I was having all those comic books for free, so I was reading them all the time. I was flying away, and I was dreaming.
You got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream come true?
Aged 11, the tousle-haired young cove took his first tentative steps towards extreme violence, falling under the wing of this deceptively jovial martial arts teacher.
Quand il est venu me voir, il avait 11 ans.
He was 11 when his father brought him to me and said, "Make him into a man."
I was looking at those comic book heroes, and I said to myself, they're strong, they're beautiful, but when I look at my body in the mirror, I go, it's a big difference.
Un désastre. Un désastre.
A disaster. A disaster. He wore glasses, he was weedy, stiff as a board. It was terrible. But there was definitely something about him. He had this look of determination, so I decided to occupy myself with JC 100%. It's true, my training is inhuman, but the results are there for all to see.
When I met Jean-Claude, I was very impressed with his kicking. I mean, I said, wow, this guy can kick. We shared our passion in karate and boxing, going into movies where Bruce Lee was in, but we were going at the back street and trying to go in without paying.
But young scamp JC had ambition. He became part of a European champion kickboxing team and at just 18 owned his own gym. Small wonder when he and pal Michel headed west in search of fame and fortune, mum and dad weren't impressed.
They weren't happy. They thought he was too young. He didn't speak English. He had nothing, not even a work permit.
I was making very good money for my age, and I left. I sold out, and to go and chase that dream to become a movie star. America. Didn't know anybody, didn't speak English, didn't have a green card, so it was not easy, but it was fun.
We did a little bit of work. He was doing some driving limousine. I was doing some delivering pizza and things like that. We slept one day in the beach and then we slept in the used car we bought.
To improve on his clearly limited prospects, he shortened his unwieldy name to Frank Cujo. Sadly, this surname was shared by a rabid dog in a Stephen King story. So he borrowed one off a family friend and hey presto, those plum rolls came pouring in. Look, he's a gay karate man.
Non, je disais, tu as un corps bien musclé, un athlète quoi. Viens, ne me touche pas. Viens. Okay.
This frankly insane art flick led to various mid-80s bit parts in Chuck Norris action pics, obscure fight B-movies, and even a spell inside the monster costume in Schwarzenegger's Predator. But the big break came at an LA piano bar with an impromptu JC display of swivel-kicky acrobatics. Over the head of martial arts film mogul Malcolm Golan, it secured him a fateful meeting.
It was exciting to me, all those posters, those movies. I mean, I was coming in my pants. Then I took my shirt off. Then I did like a split between his chairs, and he said, "Hey, relax. Karen, bring me Bloodsport."
He'd landed the 3-movie deal, which would see him rise to cult star, then to the brink of box office big time in just 3 years.
I had some goosebumps when I saw the first movie. My friend from Belgium.
He was my brother. I loved him very much and respected his dreams, but I really haven't thought it would ever come true.
Bloodsport became a big hit, and I did a bunch of low-budget movies, and that's why the industry loved me, because I can, with not too much investment, bring a lots of dough.
I don't care what you think. I could kill you if you blink.
Breakthrough movie Kickboxer was the textbook martial arts revenge story. Kurt Sloan watches brother maimed by hideously deformed and evil Thai champ Tong Po. That's Michel Kissy in makeup, amazingly. Understandably miffed, swears vengeance. And finds a mysterious old master to train him for a final avenging rematch.
I want you to teach me Muay Thai. Really?
Oh, and if the terrifying and occasionally bonkers training regime looks familiar, it's not entirely surprising.
It's all true. Everything you see in the films. It wasn't made up. We've done it all in training. Even setting the dogs on him to make him run faster.
I know a lot of Thai boxers do kick walls to try and make their bones stronger. I prefer to have padding, so I go for the shin pads and the boots and gloves to protect me rather than hitting trees.
That was no rubber tree, that was real. I've seen Jean-Claude kick parking meters before and make them bend.
Mon Dieu. Mercifully, things were a bit less traumatic at home. The rising star, already divorced from wife 1 and wife 2, was now settled down with 1987's wife number 3, Gladys Portuguese.
Baby, where's the picture when I met you in Mexico? Please, it's a great shot. Then you know how she look when she has no clothes.
Jean-Claude was in love very much with Gladys Portuguese through magazines. He was going through those magazines and felt in love with her.
That's her? Wow, look at that.
There somewhere.
Mrs. James Bond. Wow.
I used to do a lot for Muscle and Fitness as I was a bodybuilder at one time. At a photo shoot, he came after me. I see this guy with these black socks, brown loafers. In Spanish, you say jíbaro. I don't know what jíbaro means. Hick. We got to know each other, and we're stuck together ever since, through thick and thin.
Well, apart from the odd couple of years married to wife number 4, but more of that later. Right now, time for more fighting. And 1990s AWOL, absent without leave, where Legionnaire Leon Gauthier goes, AWOL. Look at him. Crosses the Atlantic, acquires trusty if incomprehensible sidekick.
Hey, look at you. Sure you want to do this, my man?
And fights hairy people in an increasingly impractical series of venues on LA's illegal boxing circuit.
In a film like AWOL, the fight sequences are very choreographed. If it was an accurate reproduction of street fights or pub brawls, then no one would want to watch it. You just go down your local pub and watch a couple of boozers knocking 7 bells out of each other with no finesse at all.
But this was one action star who had more to offer the world than sore testicles.
I did it and they became successful. But I've got to be careful because I repeat myself. And if you repeat yourself too much, I cannot do better than Bloodsport.
One thing he did say to us was that he was fed up of being called the muscles from Brussels, which is odd because obviously he coined the term himself. And he said he'd prefer to be known as the truffle from Brussels because he thought that would sound more cerebral.
His 5th lead role? Typecast already? No way! It was time for JC, like the famed pralines of his homeland, to show the soft centre under his rock exterior.
What I did tonight, I did for my family. Not for you. Not for me.
Aha, so the only reason he's fighting is to provide for the widow and child of his brother, murdered at the start of the picture, obviously.
This was the first time that we saw a sensitive side to Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was deliberately, I think, trying to broaden his appeal.
Of all of the Van Damme films, it is the chick flick.
J'ai beaucoup aimé ce film parce que it's my favourite. I love it because it's got a sad story. It's about a family. I'm not really a big fan of action movies, but I do like a good story.
Scenes with him and a little girl are just wonderful. They're very touching.
Not fair! I know life is not too fair. And sometimes it's ugly and stupid and mean. But sometimes life is beautiful too.
When I watched that film in theaters when it first came out, I actually saw people wiping tears away from their eyes, and you don't generally see that in his movies.
Family represent for people, I believe, real connection. I have a great family. I got 3 kids. 2 boys, 1 girl. Look, was my baby when he was young. He's a believer. My son is a Jedi. in his past life, he was one of the best. And look at his stores. I show you how meticulous. Look at this. I'm going to open his armoire. He's very neat. Look at that, look at that.
Is he like you?
No, he's worse.
Tidy. Thanks to AWOL's whopping $25 million US box office, the budgets grew, and by 1991 the rising star was given a unique chance to kick his own head in. It was his idea, mind.
I'm not educated, really. I mean, I've got instinct, I've got feelings, and I express my feeling and my words to very smart people I choose, and they transform that into structure.
He had an outline which he had come up with, the idea based on the Corsican brothers, the old twins and all that, and it ended up becoming Double Impact.
There's two of them.
It's very difficult when you're meant to be speaking to yourself and you're speaking to sort of a body double.
Alex, cool down. Chill out, pal.
And then you flip sides and change costumes and makeup and come back and do the other side.
Chill out.
It's a full day's work twice.
Chill out, okay?
Before a movie, he works very hard with a dialogue coach, and you kind of don't see it because once the movie starts, it comes off very easily.
You want some advice? Take your fancy clothes and your black silk underwear and go back to Disneyland.
In case you hadn't twigged, Alex is the bad twin.
Welcome to Hong Kong.
Note, slick back hair, cigar, while Chad is fluffier, pastel-clad, a twat.
Because of my big legs and karate, I can do the splits, no problem.
Still, eventually, they manage to stop fighting each other and hitting their own girlfriends and get down to the business of seeking vengeance for their murdered parents. But the revenge formula was missing one vital new ingredient for its star's rapidly rising profile.
What else do you have in here?
Big surprise. Huge surprise.
Jean-Claude was saying, well, what if Chad has a relationship with the girlfriend of Alex? And I told him, that's a big mistake because the audience is going to hate him. And so he said, what if it's just a fantasy? And I said, well, now that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah, well, you see, it's this one's girlfriend. But he's angry because he's drunk and he's imagining the other two are at it like porno stars. Oh, you know, still, fair play to Jean-Claude. He knows how to keep us boys happy, as well as the ladies.
Quite graphic, really. That actually is, I think, probably one of the things that yet again distinguishes Jean-Claude Van Damme from some of the other action heroes. I mean, you don't get those kind of scenes from a Schwarzenegger movie or a Stallone movie, really.
That's my grandpa. I was his favorite. He put me on his knee. He said to me, woman like on a man, new shoes, very nice hands, nail has to be perfect and make them laugh. And you'll get everything from them.
Oh, I didn't know you were busy.
Hey, you're next.
Really?
I think Jean-Claude Van Damme's very aware of his sexual plight and it has grown over the years.
He's a big magnet. They swoon. Jean-Claude is, you know, it's like going out with him is like going out with the Beatles.
This country, it's like a woman, a beautiful woman. Hold on. More you touch Australia, more you want it.
It's Swiss Tony. Only JC doesn't need fine wines or Belgian chocolates to work his magic.
He can pour on the charm. And there's a lot of ladies who can attest to that.
There's an alleged story that he actually propositioned one of his publicists between floors in a lift and assured her that they could complete the act in that time. He was dumbfounded when she turned him down. Partly, I think, that somebody had said no to him, but the other thing was he couldn't believe that she didn't actually appreciate the brevity of the courtship.
Give me a break.
All right then, coming up in part 3, JC hits a career high with even more fighting.
Yeah, good to get it.
But though the world's at his fighty feet, fame, temptation and Mr. Sausage combine to take their toll on the Belgian superstar.
Let me show you the way I eat. My wife make those plates in advance, like spinach, lasagna. They're already in advance. I've got all those plates, and I drink like rice, milk, vitamins and everything like that, you know? All good stuff.
Bon appetit, viewers. Tonight we've been tasting the innards and outards of the enigma that is Jean-Claude Van Damme to find out what makes him tick.
He doesn't like to talk too much about himself like that. He gets very weird.
I interviewed Jean-Claude Van Damme a number of years ago, and I found him to have enormous charm.
How do I look on a wide-angle lens? We're having fun, huh? The guy will not kiss.
He has amazing enthusiasm. He goes off sometimes in wild dreams, but why not?
That camera looks like a huge mosquito.
I think Jean-Claude's very easy to interview. You can actually ask some sort of like controversial questions. He won't necessarily answer them, but he will actually acknowledge that you've asked it, and so then completely veer away from into another area.
Do you get over to London very often?
Yes, I go to Belgium about 4 to 5 times a year, and I've got a grandma.
The kind you would call him mystical. Other people might call him slightly batty.
I think over the years, Jean-Claude Van Damme, because he's been in the spotlight and because he's been asked some fairly probing questions, has wanted to become deeper than he actually can become. He's not good when he gets on to touchy-feely philosophy.
It's not about being happy on the outside. I mean, happy on the outside, to be happy on the outside, you have to be happy on the inside. And that's the problem. What happened here? Somebody's sick here?
Oh, time for more fighting. One of the kids has dented the sunbed.
You know about it already.
No, I didn't. It was not as dented as this.
Where's Bianca?
She's finer.
It's no good. Okay, that's it. Finish.
C'est un gars volontaire, obstiné, que j'adore.
He's an obstinate man who I adore. He is impossible to live with. He doesn't delegate. He wants to do everything himself. But I love him. He's my brother, and he'll never change.
Et il ne changera plus.
I think we should take him out of the program until we can run some tests on him and find out what's going on in his head.
With 1992's Universal Soldier, JC showed he knew exactly what he was doing. His salary leapt from $70,000 to $1 million a film. He'd officially arrived in the Hollywood big league, and that's official. Really, we checked with someone who knows.
The Elmer scale is the stock market index for the stars. Sheer acting ability and range is not what it's about. It's much more about your box office, and it's much more about your career management. In 1992, he was up to 84 points out of 100. That's the highest he ever got in our scale. He was right up there with Bruce Willis. He was right up there with the top of the line.
With Universal Soldier, there's real money behind him. The industry were starting to believe in him quite seriously as a parallel, or a usurper, if you like, of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Say goodnight, asshole.
Good night, asshole.
Universal Soldier was about these cryogenically preserved soldiers, reanimated and used for the military as a secret weapon. Dolph Lundgren starts getting his memory back.
You little traitor.
When he was a psychopathic soldier right before dying. And then Jean-Claude getting his memory back as well. Has to then stop him from going on a rampage.
I'm giving the orders from now on.
Universal Soldier I thought was brilliantly done. I mean, as much as it was a rip-off from like RoboCop and Terminator all thrown together with the two of them.
And that's great! More fighting! Lorry chases, villains and heroes who won't die, a feisty heroine. It may well be an Arnie fest, but no one can say, "Hasta la vista, baby," like our hero.
Where are your clothes?
Whose famed buttocks by now seem to be developing their very own acting career.
Shame on you.
Doing comedy.
I have to cool down.
There really should be an Oscar, shouldn't there, for the best bum on screen. I think Jean-Claude Van Damme would win it hands down.
Oh, come on, man, not this again, huh?
Viewers confused by all this arsing around needn't worry. Highly perceptive reporter Ronnie's on hand to ask all the key questions.
Who the hell are you? You push a car faster than my mother drives. You use ice like other people use Band-Aids, and then you run through walls.
She also reaches all the obvious conclusions.
Are you from France or Canada or... I mean, I figured you gotta be French or something because of your accent.
What accent?
I'm not speaking very good English. I've got a Belgian accent, I don't know what, but I mean, you know what? I don't care.
Elle est très jolie ta bicyclette.
Is that French?
But if the feeling is right, then the word will be really, you'll feel those the words.
I don't want to hurt you.
Universal Soldier was the biggest hit of his career, grossing $100 million worldwide. But things were set to go pear-shaped, or rather, perfect hourglass-shaped. Enter Darcy Lapierre, ex-model, brazen temptress, in a word, trouble. Her seduction of JC fast became the stuff of tabloid legend.
Darcy rang him up and said, you know, I'm sprawled on my bed and I'm waiting for you.
It's like something out of a very bad bodice ripper. Apparently she ordered him to her bedroom.
It was a critical point in Van Damme's career as he dumped Gladys and married Darcy at a Buddhist ceremony in Thailand. On screen, he was going from strength to strength. Time Cop was another massive worldwide smash, his biggest hit in the States, and he was then voted the People's Choice to front 1994's movie adaptation of video game Street Fighter.
Kids are saying the person we want to see in this role is Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, you know, without having to push yourself onto the public is really pushing you and saying, you know, we're really interested in this guy, give us more of him.
And who wants to go with me?
Van Damme earned every penny of his career-high $6 million fee, armed with only potentially lethal hair, some guns, bombs, mates...
Charlie! It's me!
...and a very small knife. He must beat the clock to rescue hostages from this evil dictator.
Anyone who opposes me will be destroyed.
Along the way, he encounters several evidently lost souls, Shakespearean diplomats.
Have you lost your mind?
Her off ER. A terrifying giant torturer. Hang on, that's Joe Bugner. Best punch he ever threw. And he's also ably assisted by barrel-emptying battle dwarf Kylie Minogue. Fantastic. Quite literally.
The fight sequences in this obviously had to have greater fantasy towards them because it came from the video game. The expectations of the young audience would be that human beings could do what these computer-generated characters could do on the screen, and they couldn't let them down.
Look, he's kicked him so hard the entire building's exploded.
The reality that he was famous for at the beginning and the really precise fight scenes have now disappeared. And at the same time, there's this parallel that perhaps he has lost contact with reality. And his own life is now a huge kind of fantasy bubble.
Jean-Claude fell into this pit of personal problems. Those personal problems really destroyed his focus for a number of years.
Things had indeed been getting a bit tasty ever since Darcy Lapierre had entered JC's life. By the mid-90s, his clean-cut Hollywood hero image was itself taking a Van Damme-style kicking.
He was like just a kid in a candy store, not understanding what Hollywood is about.
If you take the candy, then your teeth are going to rot out.
Somebody who's in the news over here is Jean-Claude Van Damme for all the wrong reasons.
There were a lot of sort of kiss and tell tabloid headlines at this time, and it must have been like a living nightmare for him.
He's sort of surrounded by mess, isn't he? And he keeps walking into it.
Harden Jean-Claude Van Damme is battling against cocaine addiction.
Spending £5,000 a week on the drug. His friends are said to be shocked at the news, as he's always steered clear of drink and drugs, claiming those who did drugs didn't deserve to live.
It's just a body, it's an envelope. And it's a wonderful envelope. I put my envelope through a lots of pain.
What are you going to tell your kids? What are you going to say to your wife? Are you going into rehab?
From the mind who was not there, who was listening to the body.
He's not really there. That's a shame, poor man.
Oh,
he's obviously got a big problem, and he's in a clinic now, we believe, so we do wish him the best. We do.
How are you? All right, how you doing today? Good. What's wrong with you? You want to punch me? No, I don't want to punch you. You think because you're a celebrity you can go around beating people up? I'm not doing this? I'm a normal guy.
He told in an interview that he was in a luxurious hotel room and he'd taken an awful lot of cocaine, and suddenly he saw his own dead body on the floor in front of him, and he realised then that he's got to give up drugs for good.
And then thank God, because of my martial art and my sport, I was able to put the mind where it belonged, Now I can talk to you about it, but this body is such a good body. Such a good body. I mean, I've got to be nice to it.
Time to attempt the greatest comeback since, Kylie, and it began in earnest with an acrimonious divorce, ending disastrous marriage number 4, leaving JC free to remarry wife number 3.
The best thing he did is to go back with Gladys. That's the best thing he did.
Gladys stood by him through a lot of shit. She's someone that can actually save him from himself because there are demons in him.
Gladys, ma belle-sœur. Ma belle-sœur, Gladys. Gladys, c'est ma sœur, c'est tout, Gladys.
Gladys, my sister-in-law, she's my sister, she's everything. She's my brother's only wife, my daughter's second mother. I love Gladys very much. She's done so much for my brother, and I hope they stay together for the rest of their lives.
She's a better person than I am. Let's put it that way. And I try my best to become as good as her in this lifetime.
When you're around someone that's with high demand, you need to know, as the wife, that this is part of the package, And if you can't deal with it, then you already have a problem with your relationship.
C'est une sainte. She's a saint. I really love Gladys. Voila.
Voilà.
You just tell each other what you think and what you feel. Never hold any anger. I let them know.
Let me know what?
I let you know that if your feet stink, I let you know if your feet stink.
Unfortunately for Gladys, stinky feet were an inevitable byproduct of JC's career rehab. Well, they were when he, like so many before him, tried to cast off the mistakes of the past and rebuild a brave new future by joining the Foreign Legion.
I was bored, and part of my going down in life, it was also part of that doing the same, and you've got to change and try to become an actor.
The only thing that keeps a man living, got to have a dream.
In Legionnaire, I thought he really worked hard, and one of the reasons is we really gave him a very good cast. We had Stephen Burkoff and Nicholas Farrell, so that was a real education for Jean-Claude.
This is the Legion! You march or you die! What is this march or die?
I think it is possible to make your presence known by facial expressions with intensity.
You have to compress your emotion. Like right now, I go too much outside. If a guy is like an actor, right, and he show happiness, and he's just like with his eyes like that. And that's acting.
He's not a bad actor, and I think the less he does the high kicks and the more he smoulders and the less he says, probably to him is him coming across as a more intelligent, deep thinking person.
Predictably, many critics have remained less than eager to embrace the muscles from Brussels as a serious thesp, though his brooding screen presence has earned him some unlikely allies.
Most of these critics are part lobotomized. They've been brought up to think that the spoken word is of a greater value than the silent physical thing. It's not just about, sitting on a sofa with a fat ass spouting Chekhov.
Do you comprehend my words? I see that you don't.
We did a shower scene in Legionnaire, and he said, if my butt comes on the screen, it's worth another couple of million. So I thought, well, it's probably that might help us out.
Line up, ladies! Time for your bidet!
But I must say, it was a time I had more of the ladies on the crew watching the video that day than the other day. I could hardly get to the screen myself, so it obviously does work.
The homoeroticism in the movies is just one of the things that is unavoidable. Stripped naked in the showers. If that just isn't sort of pandering to the gay audience, I don't know what is. But he's very good about that. I think he actually acknowledges that, and he doesn't mind it, and I think that's actually very good.
Thankfully, there was also plenty of fighting, but despite lofty ambitions,
the Legion is a family!
Sumptuous locations, and gun-tastic action set pieces, it was the first of JC's mainstream movies not released in cinemas, though it did prove a hit on the rentals market.
If you get straight to video and you actually do make a profit and return, that's actually all that Hollywood cares about, really. If you keep making the money, then people will continue to make movies with you. I mean, they may not be the kind of movies that the critics love, but as long as people actually take it out on video or DVD, then that's what counts.
In our culture, a man who has courage is valued above all. For this reason, I will allow you to live.
He definitely went to a curve, at a peak, a very deep valley, and now he's climbing back up to another peak.
A lot of people have a hero worship of Jean-Claude. They love the fact that he's gone through all these blazing doors of fire and come out relatively unsinged.
In part 4, we'll see how Jean-Claude has continued fighting to get back to the top and see how he's shaping up for the future.
You don't want training.
You want me to break my leg?
Your brother. Remember?
You want this? What about this?
We're not here to learn. People think we're here to learn in life. We're here to remember. I'm recreating myself now. That means now I can become better than just a second ago, but now again better and better and better and better and better.
In 1999, the Van Damme recreation program meant reprising his most successful role. In the 7 years since Universal Soldier, Luke Devereaux has been rehumanized.
That makes you normal?
Yeah.
Married.
Why did Mom have to die?
Widowed.
I don't know.
And is now helping run the top secret project.
The only way is to blow them up and hope the pieces don't keep fighting us.
An outbreak of bad manners threatens the planet when central computer Seth goes nuts.
Fuck you.
Takes on superhuman form and plans a robo-master race.
The created has become the creator.
Oh, and there's something about a code.
Once this computer has this code, I'm getting mixed up, man. There's some kind of a code that I kept going around trying to get to.
What is it talking about? The only thing that may save us. A code that will erase his memory.
I'm here to get a code.
Give me the code, or I will have to kill you.
You won't kill me, because I've got the code.
Why am I leaving without getting the code? Why am I blowing up the building if this is the guy that knows the code?
Termination code complete.
Looks like I don't need you alive anymore.
I'm seriously trying to figure out what the hell was that code for. I gotta watch it again.
We couldn't work it out either, but it still became a rental favourite for JC's faithful disciples, even though its familiar brand of ultra-violence didn't quite reignite his career in the mainstream.
I think it's a bad idea to leave it too long to have a sequel. You really need to go on the crest of a wave. Get it out there while the name is hot.
So where does it hurt? All over. I feel like I was hit by a train.
I don't think he's over the hill quite yet. Kickboxers can keep on going right through their 40s, into their 50s. So as long as they keep the training up and keep fit, I don't think that's a problem.
No more fat. It's about 600 calories in 40 minutes. If you can get that at 42, my age, it's good.
I think I'm in the best shape of my life, condition-wise and power-wise. I'm strong like a, that's what I feel, okay? Like a tiger.
He can work, until he's 70, 80 years old. And I think that's where he's trying to go right now.
Jean-Claude ended the last century with this alarmingly convincing portrayal of a deranged and suicidal drunk.
I had this dream about the devil. He reserved a whole floor of hell. Just for me, Jenny.
Thankfully, normal service is soon resumed when he has his bike nicked, is left for dead, and in a modern-day homage to the spaghetti western, cleans up a terrorized desert hamlet as he wreaks vengeance.
Hey! You're a very naughty boy.
Well, looks like the job's a good un, but as the new millennium rolls on and that blockbuster comeback still proves elusive, where to next for a rock-hard Belgian in an ever-changing movie landscape?
The great thing about this business is that you can go from nothing to being the biggest star in the world through one movie. So there's no reason why, when your career's dropped off the radar, you can't get it back.
The motion picture audience has changed dramatically over the last few years. He needs to reinvent himself, and I actually think Jean-Claude would make a terrific villain.
He has a ready wit. He's willing. He's got good comedy timing. Perhaps he should think of slowing down and going into a couple of well-written comedies.
Many people would like him to do serious films, but he should carry on doing the action movies he does best. Like 007, he should continue with the formula.
I do find them very, very relaxing. And I genuinely like them. They're the ultimate popcorn movie. And I just wish he would realise that that's what people want from him. They don't want him to be Hamlet. They just want him doing what he does best.
They're always going to be the kind of movies that you come home from the pub, slump in front of on the sofa and watch, and you sort of think, I should be going to bed now, but I actually physically can't turn the set off.
He's earned his stripes, and he'll be part of the great panoply of the physical actors of our time. And he'll be immortalized, and then he'll be thrown up into the stars, and there'll be a star cluster called the Van Damme cluster, with a kind of a muscle and some riffle.
The shoulders. The body wants everything. The body wants food, wants sex, wants love, wants to be beautiful. But when the mind starts to control the body, you have more time now for business and for your children and family and friends. And then you have what we call the rest, you know, the spirit who following all that. And that's life. That's the way I see it. The end.
It's not the end, but the beginning here on 5 in a Sunday season of movies starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Teach me. Maybe next year. No, I must train now. Why? My brother. Remember?
It's the film that made him a star. Kickboxer is next tonight here on 5.